All right, friends, let's jump in. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm really excited that you are here. We're here to talk about public speaking in the virtual world and also just public speaking in general, because turns out some of the things that you need to do on stage or in front of your whole team in a meeting, you also need to do here in this space as well. So I'm really excited to connect with you about some different tips and tricks that I've seen, and also what the internet has told me to help you save a little bit of time doing research. So I'm so pumped that you are here. Let us share our screen. Let me share my screen. Let's get this thing kicking. All right, friends. So for those of you who know me, I am James Robilotta. And just to get things rolling in the right way, just so you all can get to know me, as I mentioned last week, I think the right way to start these things is to officially credential yourselves. Otherwise, people don't know you. but here's you go. I worked in student affairs for a very long time, worked in res life, orientation, also worked in campus activities, student government and whatnot. Did that for a number of years, about 10 years. And then I started speaking as a side hustle, and then I made speaking my main hustle. I'm now a full-time professional speaker, been on my own since 2013, which is really exciting. And everything was going well until we ran into the wall that is coronavirus. But that is okay, friends. That is okay, because we have other opportunities to reinvent ourselves. And I said that's okay today. If you asked me yesterday, may have had a different answer. But today, it's okay. I'm also a personal coach. I hold people accountable to the lives that they say they want to live, and I love doing that as well on a one-on-one basis. Proud brother of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. To some of you, that means something. That's incredible. Shout out to the D9. For some of you, that doesn't mean anything. That's fine too. Next, just so you can officially and accurately judge me, I'm an ENFP on Myers-Briggs. Do we have any other ENFPs on this call? Raise your hand if you're an ENFP. Raise your hand if you're an ENFP. That's it. Okay, we got a few out here. I love it. I love it. I love it. My fellow ENFPs. I'm also in strengths. I'm a futurist, activator, woo, communication, and includer. If you've done strengths and that means something to you, if you have any similarities with me, show it, throw it in the chat, and let's talk about it. And by talk about it, I mean, let me just shout you out. Nick O'Neill, shout out to you, brother. So I'm super excited. This is now, I put this up here so that you all know exactly what you're getting into if you know these personality assessments. I'm also an I in DISC. So there you go. Let's just throw them out there. I'm a whatever in the Enneagram. Anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm a 7, I think. Pretty sure I'm a 7. But shout out to all these personality assessments. Heaven forbid we didn't know what box we belonged in. Next, I am a paid freestyle rapper. I run a improv team in New York City called North Coast. We incorporate freestyle rapping into long form improv. It's a ton of fun. And that's a random thing about me. Also at my senior prom, I dislocated my right knee dancing to Shania Twain's Man, I Feel Like a Woman. That happened. I will take both your sympathy and or empathy laughs. So I'm excited to be here with you. As you can tell, I am someone who believes that laughing and learning can happen simultaneously. In general, my speaking style is I get you laughing so you lower your walls, and then I sucker punch you in the feels. Let's see if we can do that today. Today will also be a little bit more workshoppy than last week's was. Thank you to those of you who were here last week for my Find Your Third Place, Chasing the Elusive Work-Life Balance in This Madness session. If you weren't here for that, that's available on my YouTube channel, so you can check it out there. Just search James Robilotta on YouTube. It'll pop up. So, my friends, let us jump into the content. Today, we are talking about public speaking. And my question to you is, when I say that we're talking about public speaking, or I tell you you are about to be public speaking, let me just see it out here. How many of you are excited or nervous about that? How many of you would say you get excited about public speaking? If you get excited about public speaking, put your thumb up for me. Put your thumb up and you're like, oh, wow, where's the microphone? I'm on it. Let's go. Okay, Kira, I'm excited. There you go, Lucas. Okay, great. Some of y'all are out here. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Stacy loves her some speaking. All right, great. How many of you are in the middle? I see Courtney and Trevor. You're kind of in the middle with that halfway thumbs up. Okay, great. You're like, okay, all right, Kenny, I got you. Kathy, okay. And then how many are like, hell no, this makes me very nervous. I'm very nervous, Cody. I feel you, brother. Charlotte. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know what to say. Dan. Yep. So that is totally fine, friends. No matter where you are right now, Nick, I see you. No matter where you are right now on that scale of excited to nervous, that's okay. I want you to give yourself a number right now. I want you to give yourself a number. 5 is the most excited, and 1 is the least excited about public speaking. I want you to think about what your number is, and do me a favor. Do me a favor. Actually, yeah, no, that's what I want to do. Do me a favor and just hold up what that number is. 5 is the most excited. You can't wait. I can't believe I'm not public speaking right now. James, let me take that microphone from you. And then all the way down to 1 is like, I actually run away from stages. Where are you at? Show me your number, 1 to 5. Okay, we got some 4s and 5s. We got a 7 in here. That's great. Numbers don't matter. It's the virus. So 3, excellent, perfect, great. Dan fails a 0. That's awesome. So I'm excited, friends. So here's the thing. No matter where you fall on this scale, I want you to think about what your number is. And then my goal by the end of this session is to have you move 1 number further. 1 number further towards, I feel a little bit more competent. I have a few more things. I think I'm ready to try just a little bit more, okay? To my 1s, this isn't gonna make you a 5, I'm sorry. And to my 5s, what I'm hoping is I can give you a couple other tools for your tool belt during this session. So with that being said, let me share this screen back here. So whether you are excited or nervous, let's get it going. So first off, let us start by saying this is not easy. This is not ideal. So let us all breathe. Public speaking is something that ideally gives you a rush. I tell people there's some people that love to jump out of planes. I choose to get up on stages and try to make people laugh and make people think. And that's my rush. And so I am nervous before every single speaking engagement that I have. I'm very nervous right now. You could probably tell a little bit. I'm a little bit rambly. But so this is not easy. Public speaking is not easy. And in the virtual world, through screens and miles apart and babies in the other room and dogs on our laps and cats not caring about anything, it makes it even more difficult. So let's just take a minute, because this situation is not ideal. So let's give ourselves a chance and let's breathe. I told people last week that I was taught from a very young age that I should be kind to other people. Around the age of 32, I was taught that I should be kind to myself. That's about 30 some odd years of me having to work through my own stuff of trying to be kinder to myself. Let us try to be a little kinder to ourselves right now. So let's jump in with some content. I scoured the internet. So did my friend Laura. She's my team captain with Tina and I, and she's awesome. We scoured the internet to look up some things that make virtual speaking particularly difficult. We're going to talk about the virtual aspect of things, and then we're just going to talk about general public speaking. There's your agenda for my Type A folks. So for the virtual folks, for the virtual situation, the things we can't change are tech issues. Now, yes, we can kind of change tech issues by making sure that you have a decent internet connection, but things happen. There's so many people on these Zoom servers. There's so many people on all of these servers that tech issues are bound to happen. There's going to be places where things are a little bit glitchy. Your computer's running a whole bunch of other stuff in the background. There's going to be times where it lags just a little bit. That is okay. That is not your fault. Now, we also can't change the fact that there are people out there, there are bots out there that love to troll things, and those people are out there. There are different security measures that you can put in to make sure that your Zoom calls don't get bombed. I would recommend that you do a little bit of research around that. That is not what this call is about, but there's some really great security measures that Zoom has put into place for hosts that they can do. I've implemented some of them. For example, right now, none of you can share your screen. And for example, none of you can change your name right now because some of you I don't trust. So, but with that being said, there are some tech issues, and we just have to give ourselves a little bit of grace because this is not a perfect setup. Just like you would give your tech people grace in the auditorium that you're speaking in, it's important to do it again here. Nobody likes a diva. Next, this is like talking into a void. I am like, I'm like Monsters Inc., the first one at the end of the movie, where when you start laughing, my energy goes way up, okay? Like it goes through the roof, okay? Mike Wagowski. But the fact of the matter is right now, right now, I don't know if you're having a good time. Right? I don't know if you're laughing. I don't know if you're with me. Now, some of you are trying to be kind and you're giving me the full body laugh to let me know. And you're like, and thank you for that. There's also the polite Zoom clap that happens at the end of all these calls. Yes, sure, thank you. I will take it all, but it's hard because there are moments when I'm trying to get you to think where I also want to feel you pause. I want to feel the silence. And right now, it's nothing but silence. So it is difficult. And we can't change that because I can't unmute you all, because if we all started laughing, that would sound weird and it would be complicated and you just don't really know what's working. And the chat is great. It's a way to validate your speaker a little bit more, to let them know that I'm in it. But also what's interesting is while I'm sharing my screen, I'm not really staring at my chat. And also I have ADHD. So if I'm trying to focus on the chat and on my presentation and on the squirrel over there, that's just a little too much. So, so with that being said, that's something that we can't change, but it's something we must overcome. Also, how people join the call. Many of you right now are joined by audio only. You're joined by audio only, your video isn't there. So I'm really not getting any validation. And that is okay because I don't know what's happening in your world right now. Maybe you're out for a walk. Maybe you're secretly playing with your kids, but you got your AirPods in. I don't know what your situation is right now, but how people join the call is something we often can't change. Here's one thing I will say, though, and related to this session. For those of you that have joined the call with audio only, if your video is not up, that is totally fine. But towards the end, about 3/4 of the way through this session, I would love for you to try to figure out a way for you to get your video going. Because we're going to have an opportunity for people to practice a little bit. That made some of you nervous. Good, lean in. But we're going to make some of you practice just a little bit, and it's going to be an opportunity for us to give feedback, and it's going to be really hard for us to give each other feedback if we're just staring at a black screen with somebody's name hopefully spelled right on it. So that's just something for a little bit later. I'll tell you when when I'd love for you to all turn your video on. Again, it's about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way through this session today. Another thing we can't change is, it's still your pride, your message, and your competence on display for everybody. And that's hard. It's hard to put ourselves out there in front of other individuals. There's a lot of fears associated with public speaking. Fear of looking dumb is one of the biggest ones. And it's hard because you're still having to put yourself out there. That's something we can't change. Here's some things that we can change, though. There's some things that we can change in the virtual world, and I want to talk about those. First off, you can pay attention to the camera. Right now, I am not looking at myself to see the way that I am speaking. Here's what it would look like if I was looking at me the entire time. That would probably look a little weird on your end. But instead, I'm looking right at the webcam. I'm looking right at the camera and focused up in right at it because that is the closest way I can get to looking into your soul. So, but pay attention to the camera is a big thing, okay? I know right now when you try to do Zoom calls with your grandparents, a lot of times they look like this, right? And they're like, hi, right? And they're not showing you their entire face, but they don't know they can see your whole face. So they're like, this is probably perfect, but it doesn't quite work. Here's the thing about photography, videography, so many places in the world, there's something called the rule of thirds. So if you took your screen right now and you cut it into a tic-tac-toe board, right? A tic-tac-toe board with equal rectangles all over. Ideally, you want your face to be at one of the top 2 connection points. There's something about having, if you ever notice interviews in on documentaries, they're always lined up right here on one, towards a 1/3 mark, or they're over here at the other third mark. That's just something that creates a visually appealing setup. I can't explain the science behind that. Maybe some of you can. That's great. But either way, keep your eyes. Ideally, your eyes are at this third hash, and your face is at this third hash, or over here. Okay. That's just something that creates a little bit more visually appealing thing based on the way that we know that we watch TV, documentaries, interviews, et cetera, et cetera. So next, our background and our lighting is something that we can change. This background behind me is a bookshelf and a cool picture that I got in Costa Rica. Now, this background is somewhat professional. It is professional enough in my eyes. It's not, I'm not showing you my bed that I didn't make this morning. I'm not showing you my couch with my throws all askew. I'm not showing you my kitchen and the amazing, excuse me, and the amazing magnet collection that my wife has got us cooking with. And so, no, instead I've chosen this background because it's neutral, but it's also a little interesting. There's a couple things for you to check out, but it fills in the space nicely. One thing I would say about Zoom backgrounds, this is going to upset some of you, is that Zoom backgrounds are really cool if you plan on staying perfectly still the entire time. But otherwise, Zoom backgrounds don't capture your movement, and they make you look weird, and they make you look distracting. So if you are going to do a presentation, I would strongly recommend not using a Zoom background. It's totally fine if you're in your meetings and stuff like that, because we all need to find a spark of joy. But if you're using it to actually do a presentation, just know it's going to make you look weird, and it's going to distract from the message that you were trying to convey. Also, we can change our lighting. Natural light is the best. I have a huge window here next to me, and that window is bringing it in, and it makes it really cool. It's a beautiful day in Minnesota today, but it just makes it, again, a natural light is always best. If you can use those ring lights, those are like $20 on Amazon. That's another great way for you to make yourself look beautiful. Yay. But lighting also matters. Backlighting is terrible, and so just making sure that you're in a place where your face is well lit, because our face is super expressive. So the way that we bring that energy really matters. The way that we bring that energy really matters, because everybody knows that this is a slightly awkward situation. A lot of people are lethargic. They're at home. They're sitting on couches. They're sitting on whatever they're sitting on. And that is a frustrating place to try to be like, I'm going to try to get you here. I'm going to try to bring you that. And those nerves are frustrating to try to combat against, because we know that individuals right now are in an interesting place. So as a speaker, I need you to still bring your energy as much as you can. I need you to bring your energy as much as you can. And also try to bring your humor. If you're funny, this is a great time. What an important time in our world to bring a little bit of levity, and that levity matters. So trying to bring that levity is huge. Next, next, what I would say is that when you're looking for ways to engage people, when you're looking for ways to engage people, there's a number of ways to do it. You've already seen some of the ways that I do it. One of the easiest things to do, in my opinion, is obviously use the chat function. The chat function is super easy. It's a great way to engage. You have to respect the delay, because some people are like, what's my answer? Now I will type my answer. Crap, I misspelled it. Okay, how do you spell environment, right? Like, and it takes them a minute to try to figure out. So let people, give them a minute to engage, and whatnot. But the chat function is a great way. Another way that I love getting immediate reaction, I love the way that I get immediate reaction, is that I love to do, as you can tell, the thumb raising, the hand raising, these kind of things is a quick assessment for getting people in. It also makes people move a little bit different, makes people think, how does that impact me? Thinking about those things is really important. It's a really cool way to engage individuals. So there are a few other software pieces that you can use, and by software I mean web things that you can use also. For example, some of those things are to just do engagement. You can do poll everywhere. That's one that works. Mentimeter is another really cool way to poll your audiences and do different things. Something called Slido is similar to Zoom, but it has some more interesting polling features and some other different stuff. And then also, fun thing about Google Slides is that on Google Slides, they have a free function where you can create a slide and then share it, share the URL to that slide, and people can upvote and downvote questions. You can also do that on some of these other things as well. Some of these, unfortunately, they start to get placed to a place where you have to pay for them, where you can only do a certain amount of people per poll. I was going to show you poll everywhere, but they only let you do 30 participants, and so getting 30 of 113 of you to respond, that would be a little bit complicated, and it would just make me look cheap. So, so with that, but these are some really cool opportunities and things that you can use. These are some kind of things that you can use for that. So also, friends, if you're trying to kick out your friend, this is a great time to also just say, oh, I want to kick out my buddy because I think it'd be funny. You can do that right now too. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't. So we talked about the virtual side of stuff. We talked about the virtual side of things that we can't control, things that we can control. Again, you can control your energy. Again, you can control the way that you look. You can control the way that you engage the audience and during what patterns you engage those audiences. Okay, let's move on to the virtual side, or excuse me, let's move away from the virtual side, and now let's talk about some general public speaking skills that will also help you. So here's some general public speaking skills that will also help you. Laura, thank you so much for all your help with that. You are wonderful. So first off, in the chat, here's what I would love for you to do. What I'd love for you to do is I want you to put in there, I want you to put in there things that you love that speakers do. When you see speakers do some things that really excite you, what are those things that I love when speakers are blank? How would you fill in that? Smile to the audience. I love that. They're engaging. Authentic, yes, of course. I love these. Funny, yep. Interactive. They use story to make a point. They are enunciators. Expressive. They're funny. They tell jokes. Eye contact. They play music. Boop, 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 boop. That was my music part. Now I check that box. They smile. They feel natural. They're personal to the audience. I love these. Exactly. Humble. Good pace of speaking as well. They move at a good speed. Awesome. So when we think about the things that we love, here are the things that I love when speakers are. I love when speakers, just as you said, a lot of you said these things, engaging, that they're engaged. Engaging means a lot of things. Engaging doesn't always mean group activities, but group activities are ways to do it. But another ways of doing engagement is to do like a simple call and response, right? Of like, hey, I just said peanut butter, say peanut butter, right? Like you can do that kind of stuff. If you are funny, bring the funny. If you are not funny, don't worry about it. Because what is more important than faking humor is being authentic. So your natural truth will most likely be funny. People who force funny, it doesn't ever really work. Relatable is the thing that I highlighted on this list because I believe it's something that every speaker must do. Every speaker must be relatable. The audience needs to be able to see themselves in you. When we see ourselves in someone else, we believe that we can. And that's a powerful emotion to create in an audience member. It's important to recognize that there's a difference between credible and relatable, right? Credible is your title. Relatable is your story of how you got there, right? Credible is your degrees that you have. Relatable is what you actually learned and how you can apply that and teach it to others. So there's nothing wrong with credibility, but do not confuse the two. Passion is also really important. Eye contact is really important. Again, look right in the camera. Be competent. Try to be insightful and move around the stage or move on the screen with purpose. Next, what are some of your speaker pet peeves? Throw them in the chat. What are some of your speaker pet peeves? Chuck them in there. Constant motion. I'm on a boat. They come from bad angles. Vocal pauses. Yes, Shelby. That they're corny. Oh, man, good thing I'm not to my dad joke section yet. So that they are monotone. Love it. What else we got in here? What else we got in? Their bias is not universal. Their slides are too wordy. They're arrogant. They are reading off the slides. They're using jargon. They're coming with that slang. They're talking to you with all their fancy acronyms, but not actually breaking them down for everybody. They're not loud enough, right? They railroad other people. I love that. Kate, yes, they read from the screen. No passion. Yes, exactly. Trying to be cool. Hey. So we know these things. Some of my biggest speaker pet peeves are right in line with yours. I cannot stand when speakers are condescending. If your energy when you walk on your stage is "you're welcome," I'm already over you. Okay. So we can't be doing that. Next, overly arrogant public speakers, people that are just up there like, I'm the king of the world. I got a fleet of sports cars over in Zurich. I got, I'm on 4 of 7 companies. I got venture capitalist firms. I got all these things. Good for you. Good for you. That's awesome. Your arrogance is not impressive. Next, excessive, excessive, excessive vocal pauses. Pauses. Those are kind of frustrating. Also, when you're a little bit soft spoken, it's kind of hard to hear because sometimes the microphones aren't really as good. Monotone speakers, some of you put that in. Exactly. You cannot speak the whole time like this. So non-interactive, no eye contact. Where you looking, friends? It's so interesting. All of us have a place that we look when we are thinking. Right? Often mine is kind of up here. I look to the left more often than not. I don't know why I look to the left. Sometimes it's up here. Sometimes it's down there. It's really wherever I'm able to find the idea. But it's somewhere in this area. I know that for sure. That's why I look over there. But still, practicing eye contact really matters. Also, some of you, maybe when you're trying to hit powerful points, you do the slow blink. Sometimes it's condescending feeling. So your pace of speaking, it obviously can't be too fast, because if you're too fast, then people can't keep up and they can't take notes. It also can't be too slow, because sometimes when you speak too slowly, it's like when ignorant people try to just speak English to people who that's not their native language. And so they think if they talk like this, surely you will now understand all of the words. That's insulting. Next, rambling. This is something that I do. This is actually one of my things that I put up here because for me, when my speech is tight, then I don't ramble. But when it's not tight, when I don't know the exact ending, when I don't know the exact way to merge some of the points, as you can tell, this is the first time that I've spoken about virtual speaking. And so there's some places where it's been a touch rambly, a touch disconnected. And that is just something that I've noticed about myself, and that speakers, when they don't know what to say, a lot of times they just start talking, and it's kind of like a toilet that is like, is it going to flush? Are we going to get there, or are we not? Either way, this is horrifying. And also fidgeting. What do you do with your hands? If you're speaking and you're standing, are you a rocker? Are you a rocker? Are you somebody who, you're a milker? Do you milk your points where you're like, and we just need to think about this, right? Like what are the things that you do with your hands, with your eyes, with your face? Those kind of things are some of my pet peeves. So, Mindy, you said go over time. Noted. All right. So, I love it. So, these are some of my speaker pet peeves. But here's the thing about speakers. The best speakers, the best public speakers, and I'm saying speakers, this is not, everybody on this call is not a professional speaker. I'm saying speakers as in when you have the opportunity to speak in front of a group, whether that is your staff of 4 individuals, whether that is an auditorium of 3,000 people, whatever it is, you are speaking, you are public speaking in that moment. So let's just be clear about that. But the best speakers see themselves as confident salespeople. We are all, whether we know it, in the business of sales. And speakers are in the business of selling ideas, selling concepts, selling pauses, selling the opportunity to try to make someone pivot, right? It's a lot like teachers. Teachers are also, they're selling the lessons. That's why the best teachers are the ones that stick, is that sales pitch worked. I never knew mitochondria could be so interesting. You're right. They do kind of look like hot dogs with mustard. So, right? Like, So yeah, those kind of things. So we have to see ourselves as confident salespeople. And confidence is not something that we just snap and have, but it is something that we must recognize that is within us. You have ideas that are worth sharing. One of my biggest issues is I'm afraid that what I'm talking about is not unique enough, right? It's not exciting enough. It's not interesting enough. I wrote a book. It's right here. Good product placement. I wrote a book called Leading Imperfectly. And for most of the time of that book's existence, both while I was writing it and since it's come out, I'm like, this isn't good enough because it's not unique enough. And I sell myself short consistently for that. That's unfair. That's unkind to me. You have something that other people need to know. We have to punch imposter syndrome in the face. I once had an opportunity to speak to a group of PhD wielding, terminal degree holding, and future doctoral candidates at a school in Pennsylvania. And there were about 40 of them in the room. And by metrics, I was the dumbest person there. Okay. I was the only person who, though I technically have 3 letters after my name, MED. Thank you, Dr. Tony Cawthon, who was the head of my program. But still, they are not PhD. And there is a big gap between PhD and MED, at least apparently. So with that, I want you to remember that every single room you walk into, you have value to add. So when I walked into that room, I knew that I wasn't going to teach them about anything they didn't already know with what they had researched, with what they had actually put in the work on, which what they had done tireless documenting, that's a word, that's the better one, what they'd done a ton of polling about and what they'd cut all these metrics around. I couldn't teach them about those things, but what I could teach them was how to better engage their audience, because I know that's something that I could bring to them in that moment, how to make themselves a little bit more relatable to their students and future students. That was something that I brought into the room, and that's what I needed to lean on. So just because you do not bring everything into the room does not mean that you don't bring anything. Just because you don't bring everything into the room does not mean that you don't bring anything. You have greatness to share. You have wisdom. You have the way that you think about it may stick for somebody else, even if you're saying a similar concept. It still may stick, and so you must share it, because the lens at which you share your knowledge through, your wisdom through, your humor through, your stories through is unique. And I share that as someone who also needs to remind himself of that same message. So, the best way to get better at public speaking is not to listen to somebody else public speak, though that does help. And I would recommend, one thing that I love to do is I love to watch old commencement speeches. I love to watch TED Talks. I love to watch other things like that. That is a way to get better at the craft. And yes, we compare ourselves a little bit in that moment, but we also recognize, like, oh, I could do that a little bit differently. Oh, I could say this a little bit differently. That is research that is worth doing. But the best way to get better at public speaking is to open your mouth and start talking. And so right now, for those of you who have joined this talk via just without your camera on, if your camera is not on right now, I would ask that you please turn your cameras on, because I need you, I need us to start, practicing right now. I need to start practicing right now. So what I'm going to have you talk about, in a minute, we're not going to do all 100 of you. All right, everybody has this much time. Go, 30 seconds. No, we're not doing that. I'm going to break you up into small breakup groups of 2 or 3 people. And what we are going to do, is I am going to have you tell your partners a story about something that you are passionate about, that you think other people should be passionate about. So right now you're thinking, what are things that I'm passionate about? Right now, what are things that I'm passionate about that other people should be passionate about? What's something that people care, that I think people should care about, that they don't? What's something that I really care about? So right now you're grinding your gears and thinking of some of those things, all right? Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to put you, like I said, into groups of 2 or 3 people. Okay. So when a screen pops up that says join group, make sure that you click the accept button and join that group. What you are going to do is you are going to talk for certain departments to be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That doesn't sound like a Zoom bomber. So we're on edge. We're on edge right now. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be talking for 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes straight about this topic. Now, don't get on Wikipedia right now or anything like that. You're going to talk for 2.5 minutes. There's a reason why we're doing 2.5 minutes. And so you're going to talk for 2.5 minutes, and then the people in your group are going to offer you feedback on how you did. That's a little bit scary, okay? But we are all here because we want to be better. And so I want us to have each other's backs. Laura's going to put these things into the chat. Here are the things that you are going to watch for. I want you to watch for the passion at which they speak, the passion at which they speak about what they talk about. I want you to watch for their hand motions. What are their hands doing? Are their hands like this the whole time? Do they look like a wooden soldier? Are they constantly flailing? Does it look like they're attempting to fly? Does it look like they have some sort of a bug in their face? Do they just walk through a spider web, right? So those kind of things. I want you to also pay attention to people's vocal pauses. Okay, how many times do they say a lot? One thing that you'll notice that I say a lot is, with that being said. I developed that vocal pause in the last 6 months. I don't know where it came from. It's kind of annoying me. You're now going to see it every time I say it. But I say, with that being said, a lot. So with that being said, I also want you to look for the volume at which they're speaking, their pace of speaking, and also their fidgeting. Right? Are they rocking back and forth? What are they doing with their bodies? And also, what are their eyes doing? When they're thinking, where do their eyes go? They're thinking, where do their eyes go? If you need to leave, that is totally fine. I would ask you to please leave now. I'm going to put this on YouTube. I'll email everybody who's on the call, the rest of the call. There's only a little bit that's going to happen on the back end of these breakout groups, but this is the really important time. So let me stop the share. So in your groups, here is what I need you to do. What I need you to do is that you're going to pick whoever's going first. Someone's going to go first. Somebody else in the group, I need you to try to set a timer for 2.5 minutes. I'm also going to I can force a message through the chat. I'm also going to set that timer, but just in case you're not looking at it, let's have a backup. You're going to set that timer for 2.5 minutes. They're going to talk for 2.5 minutes straight. It's going to feel like a long time. That's great. And then what you're doing is you're going to give them feedback for another 2 minutes, and then you're going to switch. Okay. So here is what we're going to do. We're going to wrap this up just with a few last tips, but really quick. Give me on a thumbs up to thumbs middle to thumbs down scale. How was that activity for you? How did you like being the speaker? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. How did we feel? How did it feel? Okay. Yeah, all right. I'll take a shoulder shrug. Okay, great. How did it feel getting to watch other people speak and learn from them and kind of notice their things? Did that make you think about your own stuff? Okay, great. Your group did well. A lot of thumbs up. I love that. Okay, incredible. What's up, Maya? Good to see you, friend. So I'm super excited that you all did that. Thank you for leaning into the awkward there and just doing that. It's also really cool because these things make the world feel a little bit smaller, and we all just got to meet 2 or 3 more people that are just super cool and have things that they're passionate about that we never even thought about being passionate about. Or maybe you met somebody, you're like, oh my God, me too. And that's awesome if that happened to you as well. So let's wrap this up with one last slide that I have for you all. So here are some takeaway tips and tricks for public speaking. Now, these are things that I could have told you before, and maybe some of you will be like, could have used that about 2.5 minutes ago, bro. But that is okay, because I didn't want to give you so much to think about, because you need to know where you are right now so you know what growth looks like, so you know what growth feels like. You have to assess where you are right now, and then you can figure out where you can nuance and what you want to work on. So big takeaway tips and tricks. First off, always try to start with a story. Always try to start with a story, and whatever that story is, try to make it something personal to you. If possible, try not to start with somebody else's story, ideally, because storytelling has been the way that we have conveyed messages as humans since the dawn of time. It is naturally ingrained in us to grab on to story. We naturally lean in a little bit more. So story is really powerful. Next, talk about something you're passionate about, just like I made you do. A lot of us don't think we are passionate, a lot of us don't think that we are good public speakers because we're basing our public speaker skills based on some presentation we did in 7th grade on the War of 1812. Yeah, I'm sure that didn't go well for you. It didn't go well for me, but that doesn't determine whether or not you're passionate, whether or not you're a good speaker or not. Now, some of you love the War of 1812, and thank you for you. But still, talk about something that you are passionate about. You will naturally be a better speaker. Also, roller coaster it. Roller coaster. What that means is that during the course of your time, you're trying to get people to feel different emotions. The more I get you to laugh, the more happy I get you. Then when I dive down, the more the deep stuff that I hit, that I drop on you is also going to hit. It's going to feel differently. The higher I get you, the lower I can get you. So ideally, trying to roller coaster is important. Also, your quotes are better than other quotes. Now, this is not me crapping on using other people's quotes, but there are some quotes that are very cliche, okay? And yes, we should all be the change that we want to see in the world. Facts, okay? And I love that quote, and shout out to Gandhi. But here's the thing is that when we just throw out these quotes like they're drop the mic moments, that doesn't work. You need to land the plane for your audience. Why does that quote matter right now to this session? Okay, that's what we got to do. And in general, your quotes are better than other people's quotes. For a lot of the people that you lead, these people that you lead will become you before they will become your university, your companies, the world's next great game changers. So by sharing your wisdom and your stories and your quotes, you're planting breadcrumbs for people to follow, and you are worth following. Next, the power of the pause. This is one of the things that we can really do that's really powerful. And one of the most important things that speakers can do is pause, because it brings the audience in like, huh? What was it? Right? They can notice a shift. It's a quick disruption to the patterns in which we speak in. This is also true if you are on stage and you're in front of a room full of people. Remember those? If you're on stage and in front of a room full of people, if you are moving back and forth, there is such a thing as overpacing, but there's also a thing as standing too still. But no matter what, when you are ready to hit a PowerPoint, not when you're ready to hit a powerful point, I need you to stop and hit the point, because audiences will notice. It's a little thing, a little tick in our brain of like, something's changed. Let me pay attention. Okay. So it's like when a dog all of a sudden thinks it hears something else and it stops breathing for a second. It's like, right? So same idea here. Next, your vocal inflection and your rhythm. The way that you use your voice matters, because there's ways to bring people in and out. You can get super powerful and you can bring in a lot of power and energy into your speaks when you want to speak, into your speaking when you want to hit a point. But almost what is also just as effective is when you bring it in. I got something I want to tell you all. It's powerful. Now, don't whisper the whole time. That's creepy, okay? But it's a great way for you to bring some individuals in. And then also, every single one of us has a cadence that we speak in. Every one of us has a cadence that we speak in. Your cadence is beautiful. And we must lean into our cadence at times, because sometimes it is our cadence that makes people bounce and flow and makes it sound like potentially this is something just a little bit different. And we can bring people in that way as well. So also, show, don't tell. Show, don't tell. What this means is that if you have the opportunity, I want you to still use your hands, okay? I want you to still open a door and walk into a room. I want you to still talk about, like when I talk about eating pancakes, I cut triangles out, and then I have another circle, and then I cut more triangles out. Those kind of things are just a little bit of a visual cue that just bring people into the world that you are trying to paint a little bit more. This doesn't mean that you need to act out your entire presentation. This is not an old school Victor Borga session, but there are still some powerful things that you can do. Here is what I will end on, and then we can hang out for Q&A if people have some questions that they want to talk about. If people have some things that they want to connect on, or like, hey, what about this or what about that? Totally fine to have a conversation with you about these things. And also, I think one thing that we all learn from right now is make sure you have a co-host. Shout out to Laura and the rest of the team for helping out, trying to get rid of that unfortunate bot that joined us and bombed us earlier. So it's ironic because I told you to not use quotes, but I'm going to end with one because that's what professional speakers are carefully trained to do. My favorite rapper, who I believe is the greatest rapper of all time, is Jay-Z. If you don't agree with me, don't at me, bro. But Jay-Z simply said in one of his tracks, he said, first I had their ears, now I have their hearts. When you start with story, when you start with you get people's ears. When you start, people are able to see themselves in you. This relatability is super important. The energy that you bring, all of those things, not your credentials. Your credentials are great. They're probably what got you into the room, but they're not what's going to make you a great speaker. So that's the way that you capture people's ears. And once you have people's ears, you have people's hearts. Every single one of you has a message to share. Every single one of you deserves to be in the position that you are in right now. You were not elected, hired, selected because you were the most perfect. You were hired, you were elected, you were selected because you were the most trusted. Lean into the fact that people trust you. Use your words. Open up your mouths and share your stories. The rest of us already say thank you. My friends, thank you for kicking it with me. If you want to stay in touch with me, I'm James T. Robo on every single social media platform. I've been posting some meaningful content on YouTube. On YouTube, I've also been posting some meaningful content on on Instagram as well. I also post cute pictures on Instagram. It's lovely. But I also just recently, as in last night, launched a new show that I am doing. It's going to be on Facebook Live. So if you follow me on Facebook, James T. Robo on Facebook Live, I'm going to do a show every Wednesday night. It's called Diner Talks with James. We're going to talk with really cool individuals about places where they slipped and where they struggled, and some deep thoughts on life and some things that they have been through to get to where they are right now. So thank you so much for connecting with me. We're going to unmute people here in just a minute, and we're open to having conversations with you if you have some specific questions for me. I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to end this spotlight video. Thank you all so much for coming today. Be well.